Welcome to Schoolin' Around, a podcast hosted by Branching Minds featuring prominent leaders, subject matter experts, and thought innovators with their perspectives on the current challenges facing K-12 education. I'm your host, Larissa Napolitan, a former teacher, instructional coach, and a member of the Branching Minds team. My hope is to shine a light on phenomenal educators and those that are on a mission to transform our schools and the lives of students. Picture this. It's 10:15 on a Tuesday morning. You've just sat down to review your Title I budget proposal, something you've been putting off for days. Suddenly, your radio crackles. There's a situation in the third grade hallway. You rush out of your office, and before you even turn the corner, you hear the yelling. A student, let's call him Marcus, is on the floor, refusing to move, shouting at his teacher. The teacher looks exhausted, the other students are staring, and you can feel your own heart rate spiking. In that exact moment, you have a split-second choice. Do you react? Do you raise your voice, demand compliance, and immediately remove Marcus to stop the noise? Or do you respond? Do you take a breath, assess the safety of the environment, and engage the protocols you put in place? Welcome to Schoolin' Around. I am your host, Larissa, and today we're unpacking that split-second choice. We're talking about the critical difference between reacting and responding, not just in the hallway during a crisis, but in how we design our entire school systems. We know that planning for how you react to behavior is infinitely more effective than just winging it. And today we're going to explore the neuroscience behind this and how you can apply it to your MTSS to build a culture that is proactive, calm, and effective. Before we talk about strategy, we have to talk about biology, because whether we like it or not, we bring our brains to work with us every day. When that radio crackled and you walked into that chaotic hallway, your brain likely initiated a reaction. This is driven by the amygdala. It's that almond-shaped part of your brain responsible for processing emotions, particularly fear and threat detection. It's our ancient survival mechanism. When the amygdala takes over, it shuts down the pathways to the higher order thinking parts of the brain. It says, don't think, just survive. Fight, flight, or freeze. In a true life or death situation, this is great. But in a school setting, a reactive state often leads to knee-jerk decisions. It's a suspension issued in anger. It's the policy created because of one bad accident. It's short-term survival that often leads to long-term damage to relationships and trust. On the flip side, we have responding. Responding is handled by the prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of the brain. It handles reasoning, emotional regulation, and long-term planning. When we respond, we are gathering information, weighing our options, and acting in alignment with our values and goals. The challenge for us as school leaders is that school environments are often high-stress trigger zones that constantly poke our amygdalas. If we aren't careful, we end up running our entire behavior systems on reaction. We become firefighters, constantly putting out blazes rather than architects building fire-resistant buildings. So the question is, how do we move our schools from the amygdala-driven reactive state to a prefrontal cortex-driven responsive state? This is where the magic of MTSS, and specifically PBIS, Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, comes in. Think of your MTSS framework as your school's collective prefrontal cortex. It is the plan you make before that crisis happens. It ensures that when emotions are high, you don't have to invent a solution on the spot. You have a system to lean on. If your school is constantly in reactive mode, you might notice that your behavior staff, your deans, your interventionists, maybe even your APs are acting primarily as disciplinarians. They are the muscle. They get called in when things go wrong to remove students and assign consequences. This is the wait to fail model. We wait for the explosion and then we react. In a responsive MTSS model, we flip the script. We use data to predict where the fires might start. The third grade hallway might be an example. We use our behavior staff not just as responders to crisis, but as architects of prevention. For example, look at your tier 1. Are your expectations clear? Does every student know what respect looks like in a cafeteria versus the classroom? When tier 1 is strong, When the climate is positive and predictable, you actually calm the collective nervous system of the school. You reduce the number of amygdala hijacks your students and staff experience. Then look at your behavior staff. Instead of sitting in an office waiting for a radio call, are they pushing into classrooms to model de-escalation strategies for teachers? Are they running small social skills groups, Tier 2, for students who we know struggle with emotional regulation? When we utilize our staff in this way, we are responding to student need before it becomes crises. We are moving from managing behavior to teaching behavior. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great in theory, but I'm drowning in referrals right now. How do I actually make this shift? Let's get practical. Here are 3 ways you can start shifting your campus from reactive to responsive this week. Number 1, reevaluate how you utilize your behavior staff. If your behavior specialists or deans are spending 90% of their time processing discipline referrals, you are stuck in a reactive loop. Try to carve out even 20% of their time for proactive work. Have them analyze your discipline data. If you see that 3rd grade recess is a hotspot for aggression, don't just suspend the kids who fight. Send your behavior staff out there to teach structured games or conflict resolution skills during recess. This is a response, not a reaction. Number 2, build teacher capacity. This is huge. Often offers referrals happen because a teacher felt they had run out of options. They reacted to a student's behavior because they didn't know how to respond. Use your MTSS teams to support teachers, not just students. When a teacher is struggling with a student, avoid just taking that student away. Instead, use an I do, we do, you do coaching model. Have your behavior specialist go into the classroom and model a restorative conversation with the student while the teacher watches. Then do it together. Finally, let the teacher lead. Empowering teachers to handle behaviors in the classroom de-escalates the entire system. Number 3, embrace restorative practices. Punitive discipline is inherently reactive. It looks backwards at what went wrong and assigns a penalty. Restorative practices are responsive. They look forward. They ask who was harmed, what were you thinking at the time, how can we make this right? This doesn't mean there are no consequences. It means the consequence is tied to learning and repairing the community. It engages the student's thinking brain, their prefrontal cortex, forcing them to reflect rather than just activating their shame or anger. Leading a school is emotional work. You are the thermostat of your building. If you are reactive, the school will be reactive. If you are responsive, calm, data-driven, and thoughtful, your school will eventually follow suit. I want to encourage you, this shift doesn't happen overnight. You are rewiring the neural pathways of your entire organization. And there will be days when the radio calls don't stop. There will be days when you react instead of respond, and that's okay. You're human. But remember the goal. We want to build systems where students feel safe enough to learn and where staff can feel supported enough to teach. Here's my challenge to you for this week. Pick one reoccurring behavior challenge in your school. Maybe it's tardies. Maybe it's cafeteria noise. Maybe it's a specific student. And stop and ask yourself, how have I been reacting to this? And then ask, how can we respond to this? Look at the data, look at the root cause, and try one proactive strategy. You have the tools, you have the data, and most importantly, you have the vision to lead your school to a better place. Thanks for listening. Keep responding, keep leading, and we'll catch you next time. And as always, if this episode resonated with you, pass it on to a colleague, and maybe it'll encourage them as well. Thanks for listening to Schoolin' Around, a podcast hosted by Branching Minds. Go ahead and subscribe to our feed wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, if you are enjoying our content, would you do us a favor and rate and review our podcast on iTunes? This helps others find our podcast and lets us know how much you love what we're creating. Branching Minds is an educational technology company using learning sciences and technology to help districts effectively personalize learning through MTSS. To learn more about us, check out our website, branchingminds.com, or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Branching Minds.